Okay, on to passage 2, autumn leaves. Now, I actually hate this passage. My students do very badly in this passage. It's difficult for a number of reasons. It shouldn't be that difficult, but IELTS have done a couple of nasty tricks about where they take the questions from. That's the first thing. The second thing is the language is very difficult. It's very scientific. So for people who are not familiar with science or scientific language, it can be difficult. But it's mainly the where they've taken the questions from that can really confuse students. Anyway, let's get started. What have we got? This is matching information from the paragraphs, difficult question type. This is quite nice to see. It's fill in the gap. So we'll start with that probably. Then some true, false, not given. And one of these, I'll speak about this later. It's a special type of multiple choice. It's usually like an overview multiple choice. It's always at the end of the reading. So it's either question 26 or question 40. Or maybe question 13. Anyway, so we'll dive straight in. Now we've got to find this. So this is what I would be scanning for. Where do you start? It could be anywhere, so you would probably have to start somewhere around here. You're going to scan really quickly. You're looking for those inverted commas. So scan, 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 and finally you find it over there. That's immediately strange because this question type is from everywhere. So I would have expected these questions to start somewhere at the beginning here, but it doesn't. It's all the way over here. So that's the first thing that makes me think this is a bit strange. Then we need to find our scanning words. So let's go for tree. Red leaves, you will see it's sort of red is everywhere, so we're not going to scan for red. Normally red would be a nice thing to scan for, but I think it's everywhere. Surfaces of leaves, pigment maybe, daytime weather, sunny, so that one's about the weather. Intensity of red increases as you go, nothing much there. So then I want to find tree, leaves, surfaces of leaves, daytime weather conditions, and sunny. You would start over here, and this is the second thing that IELTS have done to make this more difficult. It's not there. Where is sunny? Where is surfaces of leaves? There's leaves, but I don't see surface. There's pigment, but that's everywhere. Daytime weather. So then I would scan through here, and again I don't see it all. There is a leaf there. Where's sunny? Where's weather? Surfaces of leaves. So then I'm starting to get worried, but then I would continue to scan. And there is sun. Side of the leaf, which is the surface, upper side of the leaf, surface of the leaf. Daytime weather and sunny. There is something about daytime. So, maybe go further. Is there anything about go further? There. Travel is go further. So finally we find that it's actually paragraph H that they have taken this from, and I think students would waste a lot of time finding that because it's a nasty trick. They've put this thing all the way up there, which is what we were looking for, but we had to keep on scanning until we found all of our key words. So that was a nasty trick that IELTS did, but just be aware they can do it. So let's find our answers for this. The most vividly colored leaves are found on the side of the tree facing the. Don't worry about vividly, you can say the most colored leaves, the side of the tree. Maybe I should have highlighted that whole thing. The side of the tree which gets most sun. Now I don't really like what they've done here. You see the answer is sun. It's the side of the tree which faces the sun, so it's the side of the tree which gets most sun. So our answer is sun over there, but I'll tell you why I don't like it, because we were possibly looking for a the somewhere. There's no the over here, and the reason there is no the is because they're using this sun as an uncountable noun. They actually mean sunlight. which is the uncountable noun. But in the answer, they're using it as the sun. So that's a countable noun. So I don't think it's right that they've done that. I've seen them do it before, once or twice. Anyway, oh yeah, we were going to check for grammar. This, of course, was some kind of a noun. What would you say that is? This is going to be an adjective because there is a noun phrase. There's our verb to be, there's an adjective. So this is again adjective. Adjective after to be, the weather conditions are. So we want two adjectives there. And this one was very difficult. This is actually an adjective, I think. That means we need a noun over there. A strange grammar there. So anyway, we're looking for an adjective over here. Which surfaces of leaves contain the most red pigment? Where is surfaces? Can you see a synonym for surfaces? The red is brighter. They contain more red pigment. There is surfaces. Where is our adjective? There is the adjective. The upper surfaces, the upper side of the leaf contains the most pigment. Or is the red is brighter, it contains the most red pigment. Whew, this is not easy. The red leaves are most abundant when daytime weather conditions are something and sunny. And it's quite straightforward. We know we're looking for an adjective. Best conditions for the red colors are dry, sunny days and cool nights. So you don't want cool because that's describing the nights. We've got two adjectives there, dry, sunny days, dry and sunny. I think that one was fairly straightforward. The intensity of the leaves increases as you go further something. Now go was the more north you travel, intensity increases, get much redder the more north you travel in the northern hemisphere. So the more is the further. As you go further north, the intensity increases. Very, very difficult one that most of my students don't get that. You know that you're looking for a noun. You're probably going to be somewhere here. And north is actually a noun. It can be an adjective, but it can also be a noun. So that was not easy. Some of the language was quite difficult. I quickly just want to point out this kind of paragraph. This is about clues. That's the important information you needed to see. It's the topic sentence. But what I want to show you in this paragraph is the linking language. One, we're talking about the clues. There's one. Not only that, but is the second one. Also is the third one. And finally is the fourth one. So this and finally shows me this whole thing is a list paragraph. It's a list of what? It's a list of clues. Clues about what? What was going on. This is what was going on. What is this? This is the light screen hypothesis. Very difficult. But all I want you to point out is that linking language gave you 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And IELTS chose 1, 2, 3, 4 from those 4 points. So if you notice a list paragraph, notice the structure, and IELTS loves to ask questions about that. Right, let's move on. I would do this. You've got no choice. You must do this one last. This one is better to do after the others, so we have to do the true, false, not given next. Right, now, I'm a bit worried about this because they've taken this from over here. Does that mean they've taken all of the true, false, not given from there? No. It probably means they've gone back, which is a third difficult thing that they've done in this paper, is the true, false, not given is somewhere over here. So it didn't come after this. So we need to probably, first thing to do is find where they come from. We can do target language later. So scanning language, freezing. Maybe protect the leaf, freezing temperatures. Light screen hypothesis, that's good. I know where that is. Chlorophyll, likely to be damaged by sunlight. And I know we spoke about sunlight. So I would just check that, and chlorophyll. That one then is somewhere here in this paragraph, because here's the chlorophyll. So that one is probably there. That means that this one is before that. So I would find freezing temperatures. Now you can start at the beginning and scan, or you can start here and scan, and I would do that. I would start here and go backwards. So you have to scan for freezing temperatures, and this is just scan like crazy, and there it is over there. Takes a long time to find. You see, they've made these very difficult to find, and that's one of the reasons why students score so low on this paper, is because it's so difficult to find these things. And then this one will come afterwards. So let's just focus on the target language for now. What do you think is the target language in 23? The target language is that. It is likely. What is the target language here? It could be initially, which means at the beginning, but it's also contradict. Does it agree or disagree? Contradict means disagree. And this one, again, they've gone for likely. So it was very important with these true, false, not givens, because they're very difficult to isolate that target language. So it is likely that the red pigments help to protect the leaf from freezing temperatures. You kind of have to then read all of this. Some theories about anthocyanins. Maybe it's time now to find out what that is. There's a definition of it over there. Anthocyanins are these pigments which reflect the red. The source of the red. It's where does the red color of the leaf come from? From the anthocyanins, which is a red pigment. So some theories about these red pigments have argued that they might act as chemical defense by insects or fungi, or that they might attract fruit-eating birds, or increase a leaf's tolerance to freezing. So they've given some theories. Let's just do the linking language. How many theories did they give? 3. 1, act as chemical defense. 2, attract fruit-eating birds. 3, increase tolerance to freezing. So it's a list sentence. 1, 2, 3 things, 3 theories. But then, this is a super important word. However, I've said it many, many times, however, there are problems with each of these theories. And that's where your answer is. That means it's not likely that these theories are correct, because there are problems with them. So the however gave you the answer. Because there's problems, it's not likely. And that means that must be false. I know, super difficult. Right. If you thought that was difficult, you're going to be surprised at this one. This is actually a straight up vocabulary one. Does the light screen hypothesis contradict what we know? And the answer is actually over there. Paradoxical means contradict what we think. Where is the initially? It's hidden in this. In English, we say it sounds something, but blah, 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 blah. So initially, it seems, it appears strange or crazy or whatever, but it's not. It's a thing that we often do. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to go to the beach even though it's very hot. So initially, it seems crazy, but it's not. And that's why the initially is actually there. Very difficult. And this means contradictory. Contradictory to what we think. And that's why this one is true. Because initially it sounds like that, but blah, 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 blah. And paradoxical is that. So initially this hypothesis does contradict what we know or what we think. It is paradoxical. And that's why that's true. It's super difficult. We've got a false, we've got a true. This is going to be a not given, so beware. Leaves turn colors other than red are more likely to be damaged by sunlight. We need to find that these other leaves, not red leaves, are more likely or less likely, or we don't know. and we're going to be somewhere over here, but it's nowhere. We can't see more likely. Leaves which turn colors other than red are more likely to be damaged by sunlight. Where is damaged by sunlight? I see highly destructive effects. That's maybe the damage, but that's oxygen. So they don't explicitly say that these other leaves are more likely to be damaged, so it's not given. But that one I wouldn't waste too much time on, because it was 99% going to be not given. All right. So now we're going to move on to these. And one thing I want to do here, I just want to see which paragraphs they've used. So we used this one. We used that one. And the true false not given. There's paradoxical, so we also used that one in the true false not given. We didn't use any of these others. So I'm not saying that they won't use these. They probably use it for one of them. But I would definitely look over here and look at these two. This and this, leave for later. Maybe you can find it's there. It's less likely they will choose from these two, because we've got these big paragraphs and they're definitely going to choose from these four. Okay, so we're just going to go and look at some keywords over here. Description of the substance definitely. A substance responsible for the red coloration. The reason why trees drop their leaves in autumn. I think all of that. Drop their leaves autumn. Some evidence to confirm a theory about the purpose of the red leaves. Not much there. Maybe purpose, maybe theory. Explanation of the function of chlorophyll, definitely. A suggestion that the red coloration could serve as a warning signal. All right. Just run those over again in your head. Substance, drop their leaves in autumn. Theory, purpose, function of chlorophyll, warning signal. So you could start. You can look through A quickly, but I would really want to get into B as soon as possible. Some leaves are green because they are full of chlorophyll. Immediately I see chlorophyll. And now we would want to see explanation of the function of chlorophyll. Here they introduce the new term. Here they define the term. And are they explaining the function of chlorophyll? Actually, yes, right there in the definition. What's the function of chlorophyll? It captures sunlight, converts energy. You can look a little bit more. There's more chlorophyll, and then just check over here. Do they continue to talk about chlorophyll? No, they don't. So this paragraph is the chlorophyll one. So I think that we can go fairly quickly to B. Continue with B. Remember, we can use each paragraph more than once, and this is a big paragraph. That's why I'm not going to just stop there. As fall approaches, fall, I don't know if you know it, fall is autumn. The British say autumn, the Americans say fall. As autumn approaches, the amount of solar available declines. And so now you're kind of reading, detailed reading. So rather than maintaining, the tree saves its precious resources and discards them. But before letting its leaves go, so that's drop the leaves. So there's autumn and there's dropping the leaves, and so we're pretty sure that it's going to be this one. So we just want to see, why do the trees drop their leaves? It's to abandon photosynthesis. So rather than keeping the leaves that it doesn't need, redundant means you don't need it, throughout the winter, the tree saves its resources and drops the leaves. So that's why it drops the leaves, because there's not much energy available, so it wants to abandon photosynthesis. Didn't really have to understand too much, but if you saw autumn over there and you say discards the leaves, letting the leaves go, drop the leaves, that's enough. Right, so that's 2 from B, so they won't take 3 from B, so we can move on. What are we looking for? Substance responsible for red coloration. Theory about the purpose of the red leaves, and a warning signal. Source of the red is widely known. It is created by anthocyanins. This is a new substance, a chemical. What are anthocyanins? Here's the definition. Water-soluble pigments reflecting blah, 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 blah. So again, I've said this many times. When you see this new word, definition, and IELTS chose an answer from there. New word, definition, and IELTS chose an answer from there. That is the substance responsible for the red coloration. The source of the red, responsible for the substance. So not too bad, we can get C there. And then they don't choose, in only 5 questions, they're not going to choose 2 twice from the same paragraph. So I would move on. A theory about the purpose of the leaves, a warning signal. Evidence. Trees may produce to convince insects that they are healthy and would be easily able to mount chemical defenses. So this is pretty difficult. This is actually the warning signal. The trees produce the colors to convince insects that the trees are healthy and would be able to defend with chemicals against infestation by the insects. So the trees produce the red colors to warn the insects not to infest them. Very difficult. That's kind of, we're getting into band 8, band 9 questions. So then if the insects paid attention to this, they might go and lay their eggs somewhere else and infest another tree. So yes, I think that's enough to get a warning signal, but you really had to read it in quite a lot of detail there. And the words warning signal or direct synonyms for warning signal weren't there. So it was in 2 sentences, the whole thing described a warning signal. Okay, very tough. Evidence to confirm a theory about the purpose of the red leaves. Let's move on. Here we're back to chlorophyll, purpose of red leaves. You're reading detail now, but definitely watch the time. You need to move on to passage 3. So if you're out of time, then it's time to guess either G or I. And I don't see anything over here, evidence of a theory. And actually, I don't see anything over here. So then it's time to go and look at D, F, and H if you have time, and see which one of these they've used again. There's theory. I can see students will want to just guess that one, but in fact, it's all the way down here. I'm going to take these colors off. That's the word for evidence. Then they give 3 pieces of evidence. 1, 2, 3. And that is to support the theory of the light screen hypothesis. So really a very, very tough one. Most students don't get that one. But it's fine. At this stage, you're running out of time. You've got to move on. Don't waste too much time on it. Just guess and move on. All right, great. Let's go on to passage 3.